The Buckshot Roulette Double or Nothing update just released, and even though this game is only $1.20, it has some interesting lore and theories surrounding it, and more importantly, surrounding the honorable demon we battle against. Now, as the title of the game suggests, this game revolves around a game of Russian roulette, but instead of revolvers, you are using shotguns. You wake up in a nightclub bathroom that looks super dirty, has pills on the counter, and writing on the mirror asking if you are afraid, which I know I definitely would be. And if this bathroom looks familiar to you guys, it's because it's an Easter egg of the Half-Life mod Afraid of Monsters. Now, once you leave the restroom, you get to go meet the demon, who is also known as the dealer. You may have also heard people refer to him as the honorable villain, but we'll talk more about that later. Now, before you're actually able to play the game, you must sign a general release of liability form. And a fun fact here is that you can make your name anything but 2 specific words. The first being the dealer, which makes sense because you don't want to actually confuse the AI, but the other word is God, which at first glance may just look like the game doesn't want you to do anything blasphemous, but it actually goes a bit deeper than that, and we'll see that more during the later rounds of the game. Now, after you sign your name, you'll notice a monitor light up next to you, showing that you have to win 3 rounds of combat, and this will also be where you can see how much health you have. Because while you would think that taking a shotgun blast to the face would be the end of you, you actually can tank quite a few shots, and you can even be brought back to life. In this way, this game differs from other games in this genre like Orange Roulette. Most of you are probably too young to remember this game, but people who have been fans of Corey Kenshin for a while probably remember watching him play this like nearly a decade ago. Now, the first round of combat is pretty easy because at this point, there are no items to complicate the game, and you are hooked up to a defibrillator, which keeps you from actually being permadead. And if you do end up losing in the first 2 rounds, you are just brought back to life by this doctor that's shrouded in shadow saying, "You're lucky it left you with a charge. Get up. The night is young." But if you die in the last round, you go to a place that a lot of people are saying is heaven, but it looks more like a type of hell. The creepy spikes and the white void doesn't look like any type of heaven to me. Now that we have a rundown of this story, I want to talk about the 3 best theories that I've either heard or come up with myself that just kind of explain the meaning behind the game and the honest demon that we actually face off against. Let me know if you agree with any of them or if you came to a different conclusion. The first theory that I like is the idea that the demon is actually God. This is why during the second round, when we are pulling items out of the magic box, we see a liability form with God's name written on it. Now, a lot of people thought that since the form had blood on it, that it meant that God played the game and died. That's not necessarily true. If you remember, if you win the game, you get an ending where you are actually driving away with a suitcase full of cash and also the shotgun, which could imply that you are going to play this game again, or even that you take the place of the demon. And if that is the case, that means that the thing we're fighting against wasn't actually a demon, but possibly God, assuming that God actually won the game. And this would explain why, if you get the death ending in round 3, this place that is supposed to resemble heaven looks run down and ominous. It implies that God has abandoned their position for the thrills of this game. A lot of people also like this theory because it explains why the dealer is so kind, and while I don't hate this theory, I think the truth is a bit darker than this. And that leads us over to the second theory that kind of talks about the game representing the lengths that people are willing to go to in order to get money, even if that means risking their own life for it. I like this theory because it reminds me of like the Squid Game concept. It seems like our protagonist is down on his luck and he has found a quick way to possibly make money. And this demon knows that he's exploiting this weakness, but since our protagonist signs a waiver, his life is basically forfeit, and nobody, especially not the demon, has to feel sorry for it because technically he's making this choice on his own accord. And in this theory, I think the demon represents either people with a lot of money who won't really be affected no matter how the game plays out, or simply people that exploit others in general. Because even if the demon loses, he doesn't seem to die, and we know this because we see his red eyes glowing at the end. So since it seems like this demon doesn't really have any stakes in the game, and really only wants to see people either win or lose in a horrific fashion, he doesn't really have a reason to not play fair. And the ending with us driving away with the cash and the shotgun, I think represents the idea that we are willing to sell ourselves for money. And people who will do something like that once will do it again if the chance arises, which is why we actually take the gun with us in the first place. The last theory that I like is the one that deals with vices and dependency, specifically with drugs, alcohol, and gambling. I think the fact that 2 of the items that you can actually get in this game are cigarettes and beer, which both deal with and can cause addiction and dependency. But with that being said, even the game itself with its new double or nothing feature falls into the concept as well. Because no matter how many times you win, you can always choose to try to double your money. And I think most people will agree that even though this game is simple, it has a very enjoyable replay loop. And in this theory, the demon acts more like a casino. The demon plays by all the rules and even lays them out clearly for the player to understand, because it knows that just like any addict, the player will return eventually. And since the demon cannot die, and we can assume that other players have come into this room to play this dangerous game, the demon has no reason to cheat. Some people who come into the casinos hit huge jackpots, but most people are going to lose all the money that they have on them, and some very unlucky people will lose like their mortgage payment, right? They'll lose their home, their family, because they're gambling addicts. But the people who do win go on to brag about their winning, showcasing the cash and whatever other merch that they get from the casino. Usually a hat, a t-shirt, or a tote bag that says something like lucky winner or some crap like that. And this accomplishes two things. It makes people believe that maybe they can get lucky like this person and win. And it also serves as a reminder to the winner that maybe they can win again if they just go back. Which is why I think that they let you take the shotgun with you when you win. It's because the demon knows that you'll look at the shotgun and you'll think that you can win that big prize again. Just like any gambler or any type of addict that sees something that reminds them of their vice. And it doesn't really matter that the logic here doesn't really add up. That's why it's called addiction. The money that you win from this game is usually only $50,000 or $60,000, but you are risking much more. And that goes with gambling, right? Usually even when people hit a big jackpot, they've already spent so much money in a casino that at best they're probably breaking even. The truly dangerous part here in this game is that there is no breaking even though, right? You either win or you die. A little fun fact about the money in the suitcase as well is that it's all $50 bills, and gamblers, especially older folk, will tell you that $50 bills are bad luck. This is partly because early Las Vegas investor and gangster called Bugsy Siegel was said to have died with only $50 in his pocket back in like 1947, and I don't think the game dev put this in the game on accident. But with that being said, let me know if you agree with any of these theories and put some of your own down in the comments. I want to hear them.